Welcome all to this to the Multiplier event, and I'm sorry that we have a little technical problems with the Zoom. I hope that you can hear me and everything will be fine. This Multiplier event is a part of the project from the framework Erasmus+. The name of the project is Innovation-Driven Education in the Era of Twin Transition, focusing on Eastern Europe, Southeast Europe. This event is organized by the consortium of this project. We have colleagues here from Panteion University from Athens, then Universities and Kliment Ohridski from Sofia, Singidunum University Faculty of Media and Communication from Belgrade, and us, the host, the Institute of Social Sciences and Humanities, Skopje. In short, and as the name of the project says, maybe you already know that the goal of this project was to render how the higher education in this region can keep pace with the European twin transition. Specifically, is the transition towards the digital and green policies, which can be challenging, especially for the fields of social sciences and humanities, not so much from the technical sciences, but from the fields that we were covering. This could be also something challenge and something that one can rethink about. In these 2 days, we will have presentation from our professors and also our partners from the university I already mentioned, and we'll presenting some of the project products from this project. And hello, and at the beginning we will start with professor from the Institute of Social Sciences and Humanities, Tihomir Topuzovski, who will be presenting the cultural studies program that was in the framework of this project and is fully adjust for the digital era, tackling in the manners that concern both novel forms and of economy and as well as subjectivity formation. Of course, here is the Professor Katerina Kolozova, who will also take part in this presentation. We already received the accreditation from for this study program from the Board of Accreditation from Macedonia, and we are waiting for another technical or bureaucratic part to receive another decision to start the program, and I hope that by the end of this project that we will have this decision as well. After that, we will have the presentations from our colleagues from Sofia University about the EIDE textbook, opening the questions of a digital transition of the entire concept of textbooks and addressing the stack reality that includes the online reality as more than just a communication tool. For tomorrow, we will listen to the presentation of our colleagues from Panteion University from Athens. They will talk about the brain drain, its understanding in the context of the late capitalism, remote work, and the digital transformation of social economic reality. We all received the agenda, and as you know, there will be pauses and breaks, and maybe we can have some slight changes in that term. And now I will like to leave the floor for my colleagues, the Professor Katerina Kolozova, and after that, Tihomir Topuzovski will be presenting the new cultural studies program.
So it is my pleasure to take part in our, well, in a way, closing event. After this one, we have another virtual follow-up where we will try to recapitulate, let's say, the conclusions, the main findings from the discussions, from the exchanges we will engage in during this 3 days with a closed session. In short, as far as the project and the consortium is concerned, this is the stage we are in. I'm in a way introducing Tihomir's lecture because I have to present something more technical, whereas Tihi's lecture is focused more on the concept of cultural studies in epistemic, in methodological, etc. terms. So it's a more broad discussion that he will bring forth. I will be more technical and practical in terms of presenting the program that we produced as part of this project. So in the past, we used to offer cultural studies, and those were cultural studies one would typically associate with, let's say, Anglophone cultural, Western cultural studies programs where we would have studies of ethnicity, cultural identity, identity-centered programs from the aspect of gender, for example, or communication, the concept of cyber theory as it was developed in the 90s, late 90s, was still in use. We would talk about cyber feminism, for example. We concluded that we are really living in a different era in terms of the digital reality we inhabit. It is not to propagate some new ontology around this digital social reality of ours. It is simply a reality. Let's not forget that even in broader political or political economic terms, one is talking of the digital planetary geopolitics, such as Ursula von der Leyen. She's asking about the role of education and innovation in the planetary digital arena of geopolitical advancement. Therefore, geopolitics, this geopolitical planetary race is intrinsically linked with, according to the EU, and according to the main global voices, political voices. I know I'm going into a rather political intro, but I think that it is necessary for what I'm about to present. So in this global conversation, the links between education, science, and economy, as well as politics, are so tight that these elements are inextricable from one another. That means that be it our choice or not, we do inhabit this digital reality. Therefore, we have to speak of digital democracy. We have to speak of digital political economy, and moving to the realm of culture. Culture also plays key role in this concept of planetary economic race, let's call it that, which is also interpreted, as I said, in multiple occasions. I've actually counted them by von der Leyen as also a geopolitical weapon in a way, competitiveness weapon in that sense. So culture also plays a role in this deeply economic or political economic understanding of the world, next to the understanding of it as a question of higher education and scientific innovation race. And the role of culture is the following. Culture must become creative industries, but it's been a long conversation, creative industries. It's a relatively old idea, decades old, but with the digitalization, it becomes more readily available for anybody who wants to engage in it, and it becomes almost a prompt for every cultural production. Then the sense of cultural identity is mutating, I would say, in this digital reality of ours. So we have, in a way, reinvented our curriculum completely to align with this reality. Even those subjects that deal with questions such as gender, for example, or feminism, they are also framed in this context. What is subjectivization? What is gender in an era of a deeply digital embeddedness of our individual and collective realities? So I will not bother you any longer. I just, with this description of the program, I'm just trying to explain the foundation on which it's been laid, what type of programs it offers. Of course, it still offers an intro that is theoretical. It still offers an intro into political economy, as always, with a Zdravko is here. He teaches those subjects here with a touch of this aspect of digitality. We did not expect that this program would be successfully accredited. It has been accredited, thank God. As Vicky said, which is a rare thing to accomplish within an Erasmus project. But as Vicky said, we are now waiting for a decision to implement the program that is already accredited. That's the bureaucracy we have here. It's always done program by program, subject by subject. So we're waiting on that last piece of paper until we start. And I would just say that this idea and understanding of culture is embedded in our policy studies program, which is a multi-issue policy study program within which we offer 3 tracks. One is politics or political economy, the other is gender, and the third one is culture. So if you choose elective subjects, if you choose a thesis that is on the topics of culture, even within the policy studies program, you can have a track which resembles significantly to what we offer in this curriculum of cultural studies, as I just explained it. So I will wrap up here. I know the intro was long, but we needed to present the result. It's a duty according to the project. And now I give the floor to Tihomir Topuzovski, who will be essentially the lead professor of this program once it's launched.
Krista? Okay, thanks, Katerina. Hello, everyone. In my presentation, I would like to put focus on the 2 main topics of this program. The first is digitalization, and the second one is environment. So, but briefly, I would like to mention that I appointed this position 2 years ago, and we had discussion with Katerina, and when we, of course, the cultural studies was a part of the program of the Institute in the past as well. So she suggested very clearly that we have to redraft this program. We have to reframe this program in order to address the current challenges. And yes, the cultural studies, if you take a look, for example, from the very beginning, from the mid-20th century, from the authors who established the cultural studies, like Stuart Hall or Raymond Williams, Hogarth, they actually rooted into the economic, social, and political dynamics. So it's somehow always like interconnected with the current challenges. So the first one about digitalization, yes, we're witnessing that the digital transformation has an impact on all aspects of life, from the economy to government, from the geopolitics that Katerina mentioned, to the way in which ordinary people interact. It's developed in the very fast pace to such an extent that there is an impression that some technologies, especially artificial intelligence, may soon bring about a revolutionary change for which people, institutions, and society are not maybe yet fully prepared. So, however, when we talk about technology and how this is celebratory rhetoric about the internet and about the digitalization that started in the 90s. But if we take a look, for example, to some theories of technology, like in the Frankfurt School, like Adorno or Horkheimer, and their book, The Dialectics of Environment, we can note that according to their study, the technology is looked in the some extent as oppressive tool. But what makes the difference? Actually, that if, for example, technology was exclusively linked to the ruling classes and to these powerful instances in the past, now, of course, the ordinary people have the access to the social networks, to the technology, and they can organize. They can use this as organizing tools. For example, like we know about some political and events, like Arab Spring, when from the single hashtag, a protest can be circulated abroad. And yes, like we have this image. So in this context, like social websites, networks have become type of the spaces where social relations are arranged and presented into the public sphere. The activities of actors using social networks can be understood as a kind of the participation in the public sphere, an area of social life where individuals can come together to discuss and identify social problems, and through that discussion, influence political action, where the certain values are spreading and developing. So social media have become a fact of life for civil society worldwide, involving many actors, regular citizens, activists. If we talk about these benefits of digitalization or hyper-digitalization, we can even something that Victoria mentioned in her introduction about new subjectivities. We can talk about new civil society landscape, new actors of democracy, new ways of effective communication, new accesses to the high quality education. So about, for example, education. It's a use of technology in education. It uses digital tools, online platforms, and interactive content to give everyone access to high quality education, bridge the geographical gaps, and rise a generation with a wide range of skills for globally connected world. So If we talk about the culture, for example, that we can understand that digital revolution is a part of the global culture of transformation. And when we talk about the culture in this context, it is associated with the spreading of the social change, causing of the number of the other changes. But what does it mean? For example, if we talk about artistic practices, for example, the internet gives to everybody the immediate possibility to present oneself on the global stage. Everybody makes selfies, videos, and so on. We no longer have a mass culture of consumers, the situation that was described by Adorno, but a situation of mass cultural production, where everybody is an artist, everybody is a writer, and a philosopher. So, for example, of course, that this is some kind of the problematic point because we have this, let's say, hyper-production of the content, which actually ended in the kind of the banality. We have thousands and thousands. For example, according to some statistic, there's approximately 23,000 of photos that are stored each second in the hard drives, an amount of information so big and difficult to imagine. Individuals sharing moments that are totally forgotten after a few minutes. This led to some kind of the absolute banalization of the reality. But also, now, in addition to this, importance of art. For example, I have some examples that in addition there are, anyway, some examples of artistic practices and cultural production that are providing essential contribution to the deliberation about common technology future, both in the terms of realistic insights, to the critical media art and sense of directions. For example, this from the Slovenian, now it's based in the Germany, Igor Stormayer, one project in the conversation with himself, who rise some kind of the critical instance to the technology from the artistic point, or this one made by Russian collective Что делать. The members of this collective now live as a dissident in the different European cities. So they use this as a kind of the platform to rise their art and to rise the criticism towards what's going on in Russia today. So I think that these are good examples of some emancipatory way of artistic practices that can be realized through using digitalization. Anyway, so, what are some concerns? So there is something that I already mentioned, like bad infinity, Hegelian term about this hyperproduction of the images and contents that they're only on the level of the quantification without turning on up into the some kind of the quality. So also fake news, where it's very difficult to distinguish between the what is like real or not. So, for example, we had and also can influence some political processes. Like we had one example here in the Veles, where a group of them, group, they produced some kind of the fake news that influenced it in the, of course, not very significant percentage election in USA. And something which is now open challenge from metadata, so from metadata to generative data. So it's we face it a new reality, which means that now this digitalization not only storage the data, but using some algorithms, they can generate new data or new content, which is not directly linkage to us. For example, ChatGPT and etc. So, of course, we can talk a bit more about this later on. The classes, particular classes that we have and we address all these topics, for example, of course, together with Katerina, Victoria, Kalin, and Zdravko, Introduction to Cultural Studies and Creative Industries. So I'm going to read every description. Communication, Media and Culture, the next one. Digital Culture in Europe, and something that can provide a theoretical basis for this discussion is a visual culture in 20 and 21st centuries. The second topic is environment. So why? Sorry. I will start with several papers, scientific papers that appeared in around 2000. It is a word of the exact scientific contributors and scientists who work in the field of the geology, to the work in the field of meteorology or chemistry, and they published something very important for us, like geology of mankind, the Anthropocene, the understanding human landscape and interaction in the Anthropocene, and something that was their main argument was that we have to announce a new geological era, Anthropocene. So, like as a part of their scientific papers, there is some kind of the evidence about the production of the carbon dioxide throughout the years and how this increase of the carbon dioxide actually influence also climate change. But what is also important for the field of the cultural studies, these discussions was not exclusively linked for the exact scientific fields, but also was highly popularized through the magazines like National Geographic or The Economist, where on the cover of these volumes published in 2011, they put like "Welcome to the Anthropocene" or "A New Geological Epoch," etc. So, of course, something that it's also very crucial. It's, for example, according to the Anthropocene is a very general term, but also we must to contextualize somehow to link to the production decisions, to link to the capitalistic dynamic, and for that reason, for example, one other author like Moore introduced this term of the capitalism. But why this is important? Why this is important here? For example, these maps are from the Western Balkans, and Western Balkans is detected as hotspots of the Europe, as some kind of the highly polluted space as a result of outdated coal plants, like snow emitting cars and obsolete industries. So the point is that it's fruitless to even begin explanation about this transformation. So how these changes fit the patterns of power, capital production, relations, and the reproduction of the web of life. And what is also crucially important for art and the culture is that this theme, for example, are extrapolated from into the field of the culture and art. For example, this is one exhibition created by Bruno Latour and Peter Weibel, Critical Zones, where maybe they presented some kind of the model of coexistence. They actually invited scientists, artists, cultural theorists, and around these very actual topics. Yes, where one of the points was that this division between the culture and nature is something that we have to something to go over. Also for oops. Okay. If we're going into the field of artistic practices in a more specific way, for example, this quotation from the book of Timothy Morton, The Art is Ecological. Actually, this quotation, the experience of the art provides a model for the kind of the coexistence with the ecological ethics in politics. The art leads to solidarity with the environmental situation and with what is given, allowing us to reconsider our trajectory in the geological terms. So I would like to illustrate, for example, one project that we realized here, Landscape of Anxiety, like we somehow base it on this kind of the model of the collaboration between scientists, artists, ecologists, and activists. This is one of the work which actually present how the landform is affected. How, if we are talking about geomorphology, actually we are talking about anthropogeomorphology. Or another example is this one from the artist Igor Grubic, Croatian artist, who is doing some projects that relate to animal rights. Of course, this is also part of his project. And we'll end with some of the classes that are dedicated to this topic. First one is Culture of the Anthropocene, and the second one, I think that's Graf Savsky's professor, the Climate Crisis and Social Changes. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It was inspiring in thinking of new ways how the education altogether will change in the era of digitalization. It's already changing. That's the tricky part always, because we have to think it, rethink it while it's already changing. So it's the difficulty of thinking change, for that matter, that you are really pointing to in your presentation. So I was really happy to hear that. There is not much that I could add to your presentation. I was just thinking, like that about one aspect why I would say that digitalization is important at doing good, doing right to thinking and education. And this is the point where digitalization is reopening the issue of prosthetic culture of nature, prosthetic nature of culture. And in that sense, it goes into the direction where you questioned again the division, still division between culture and nature. I think that in the era of digitalization, what we are facing, it's really serious destabilization of that border. You know, like, and in terms of education as well, you know, like how our minds are going, you know, like in direction of combining different researches from the field of so-called natural studies and cultural studies and gender studies, you know, like, so in that sense, I think that this idea of reimagining new, nothing is new, really, but I would use it that word, cultural studies in era of digitalization. I think that it's reopening some of the most challenging issues that we are facing in, I would say, civilization. So that's it. There is not much more that I would like to add, and thank you again. Questions, comments? Not for me, for presenter. I'm just here for.
You can have short break, and after that, we will decide the workshop and yeah, the workshop post. Yeah. There's also the public watching. For today. There is something in it. Keep in mind. Should we reconvene them that night? Yes, we can change the agenda maybe to get that invitation earlier today. Yes. So, the workshops should be in the afternoon, I thought.
Okay, I can always say ciao.